Hey folks, Rich here. Welcome back to the RCINFORMER YouTube channel. Just today's quick tip is going to be something I've been using for decades. You guys have probably seen it in my videos, which I do in a lot of videos, but I decided to break some of these tips down into shorter videos so I can kind of refer you guys over to that, and that way you guys can kind of see these little things that I do to my airplanes to kind of tighten them up, make them fly a little better, and everybody can kind of benefit from it. And today's tip is really going to be all about tightening up your servo leads. This is something I've been doing for decades and decades and decades. I know folks have made videos of it, but I figured this time around, let me show you guys what it is I do. A lot of times when you can make your servo connection with a lead like this, it's very loose. And you don't get a good contact, and you can have something fail, like landing gear, elevator, throttle, or so forth. And sometimes you have to get into this lead right here, and you've got to actually tighten it up. And the way that you go about doing that really is most cases you can kind of peel away here, and you can see that there's little tiny metal contacts in there that sometimes essentially you have, and they basically look like this. There's two metal connectors. And then the other side, and that's the female end. The male end on the other side, the pin will come in and contact the two of those, so it's biting down on that. But what can happen is if those are loose and that male end goes in there, you can see they just kind of move around a little bit, and there's not a real good contact there. So sometimes we need to tighten them up, because sometimes these things are made, you know, by the thousands, tens of thousands, and the quality of them sometimes, they're not as tight as they ought to be. So what we do is and often what I'll do is I'll go right into the middle, and I'm going to start off with this middle one right here, and hopefully you guys can see that okay. And you're just going to grab a hobby knife or something thin and very gently just push down on that. And what you're doing is you're taking that upper contact, which is up here, and you're squeezing it down so the two come together, so when that male end goes in, you have a nice tight contact. Now what you might have to do to some extremes is sometimes you may actually have to need to remove this thing. So you can see here, just taking a hobby knife, putting it right under the end of that plastic and just kind of prying it up a little bit. You can see that you can actually back this whole thing out. Sometimes you got to come part way and then do the same thing again, putting a little pressure here with my finger as I'm pulling it out, and then taking a hobby knife once again, lifting it up, and then pulling the thing all the way out. Now with it all the way out here, you can really see much better what that actually looks like. And you may have to do it like this externally and just push that thing back in. Now sometimes these things are not really aligned as well as you'd like them to be. In other words, you can see the two contacts in there that are kind of like this, and they're a little bit off. Okay, so you're pushing down on this one, you can sometimes snap that underneath the main contact, and that's a problem. You have to kind of pull it back up and over. So if they're not lined up straight like this, and they're actually like this, you may have to put your knife on one side and push it forward so they line up nice and straight. So you've actually got one that's pushing down on the other. So that's what we have really in some of these situations. So if that happens, sometimes you need to actually put your knife on the side of this thing, or a tool of other kind, and just kind of twist it a little or push it to bend those two over, okay? So you'll have, instead of them being on the side of each other like that, they'll actually come together, and your contacts from this angle, you'll be pushing down on that thing, and then you'll be making both of those things kind of tight. So all you do when you're done with this part of it is you just really just push this right back in, and generally what it'll do is it'll snap into place, and they're all back in there. So just make sure that you do that on all of these things, or if you have a loose connector, it's a great way to tighten it. I can see right here, for example, this middle one. This one's off quite a bit, and I can definitely tell. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull that right out of there again. Let me grab this time I'm going to grab the middle wire, and I'm going to put some pressure on that as I'm pulling it out again. I'll lift this plastic piece up just a little bit, get that thing out of there. That's halfway through. Again, I'll put my knife under that plastic piece, very carefully pull that right back out. And you can see right there that those are a little bit off, and you can definitely see how they're not really lined up. They're off a little bit. And again, when you push this tab down, you could snap it under that, and that kind of defeats the purpose of it, because you're getting under that contact where you want to be on top of it, you want it to be nice and straight, and you want to be pushing it down. So what we'll do with this one, as y'all can hopefully see here, is I'm going to go ahead and again put my knife on the side of this thing carefully, because they're not all made the same, and push it over. If I have to get under this other one here, the opposite side, and just push that upward a little bit, then that kind of gets the same goal accomplished. Sometimes you got to push one way, sometimes you got to push one the other way, but now you can see they're all lined up there pretty nicely. And now if I need to tighten it up further, I can just put my knife on there and just push down on that baby, and now that thing is nice and tight. So now when I push that male end in there, it's going to have those contacts, and it's actually going to push in there pretty tight. It's going to have a nice contact on there, and we're not going to have a loose connection. Now I know this works really well because when we were at, I've had many times where a servo wouldn't work, and I did this and it fixed it. When me and Jerry were at Top Gun, we were flying I was flying my F-14, and he had his MiG-29. He had his gear fail on the ground right before the contest, and he couldn't figure it out. We couldn't figure it out, so I went through all of his connectors, and I said, let's tighten this, let's tighten this, let's tighten this. And after we tightened a few of these connectors, boom, immediately his gear started working again. So his gear stopped working just because of a single connector. So that can happen on your throttle, landing gear, aileron, elevator. So this is the subject of a lot of failures that people don't realize they have just from because all you got to do is lose one contact and your whole airplane could possibly go down. So anyway, guys, hope you enjoyed that tip. This is one that has saved my planes for years, and hopefully it'll help you guys out. We do appreciate you guys watching RC Informer. Check out our links below. Like and subscribe. Please hit the notification bell and hit that like button, guys. When you guys hit that like button, which is the thumbs up deal, the more times you like our videos, that sends a message to the YouTube algorithm. It triggers it, so more people watch our videos. So we really appreciate the help, guys. Thanks for watching RC Informer. Stay tuned. More is coming, and we'll see you guys next time.